So in the last video, we actually left off at this point. So right now I'm just going to complete this thing out. So we were working on the background for this structure that we have here. So basically what we would do is that we can add a fill here with color, and then the color would have a UI color initializer, or maybe we could do something called mild yellow. So this is there, and then we can add a frame, and the frame should be something like width 80 pixels and then height 120 pixels. So you would soon actually get to know about this, that we don't really need to hard code the dimensions. This is just for the purpose of making it work inside our view, so that we can see that if it's working fine or not. So coming back to the offset, we would actually give it an offset value with y and 18, so just pushing it a bit down vertically, the whole thing. So this is there, and now we can since we have done the background, since we have made this yellow player box, now we can just quickly make this badge text sort of a thing. So just below offset, what we can do is we can write badge text, and there we can start. So we can have a text property. The text property would have we have used mini caption, we have used we can use budget here. So basically budget goes here. Now we can add the font would obviously be custom, fonts dot bold, and let's give it a size of like 8 pixels. Then we can add some padding for 4 pixels. Then we can add a background. Do we not have background color? Okay, we don't have background color. We have background, we can use color with the UI color, and then we can add the lightish blue here that I added in like last to last video. So this is where I wanted to use it, and as per the design I remember that I have to keep it inside the UI color extension, so that's what we did. Corner radius would be 12 pixels. Then we can have an overlay, and the overlay would include a rounded rectangle basically with some stroke. So going back to the design, if you see, it has a border, so that is what we are going for here. So with corner radius 2 it's fine, and then we can have some stroke. So when you give some shape a stroke, it cannot have a fill, or either you can give it a fill. There are workarounds for that, but you don't really need to go into that. You could add two different modifiers and that work the same way. So line width is there. Then we have to rotate this whole thing a bit, so we can use rotation effect dot degrees, and let's give it a value of 40. So it rotates a bit like this in the image. And obviously we need to give it some offset, because right now it's inside. If we just keep it like this, it would stay somewhere here, so this is not what we want. So for the offset value, we could use x 60, and for y we could also use, okay, so for y we can move it a bit up, so we have to give it a negative value, so like 50. That works fine. Now let's give the whole thing some frame. So let's, the whole, I mean the whole post thing, it would have a frame. So here we would go with 200, and height, GHT height would be 200 as well. This is there. Then we had the background, and the background would be color, UI color. Now let's just quickly see what all colors do we have. UI color plus ext. I think we can go about using maximum yellow here. So we do maximum yellow. that neon kind of color I was hoping to give it, or we can give it neon. Is neon there? Neon yellow. So this is there. So this is the first page of our post view completed. Now what we can do is we can do command N, and we can have a Swift UI view, and we can call it post view cell, and then we can enter. We again delete the preview panel, and then we can what we can do is that we can have, okay, so how about we go on working on this thing basically. So the post view should have obviously uh, an argument post. This is there. Then we can have some width. So width we can define via the screen size of our device. So UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width, and we can divide it by 2 and subtract something from it to make it smaller. So I was hoping to show the post here first. So that is what I'm going for here. Basically, if we divide the width by 2, so it only has this much area, and also from that we remove 15, so it gets some padding from left and right. So that is why I gave it a width of, like, width divided by 2 and 15. And for height we can do HIGHT CG float. Height would be 200 pixels. So I've defined these constants to use, and it takes in an argument obviously of the type post. Now what we can do is that we can remove this and open a tab view. So a tab view would actually help us use you know the whole thing basically. I mean, I meant to say that we need to use the image URLs here and show them to our user, because if we just go here post structure, you see the images that we are getting from the backend, the Firebase, are in the terms of string, right? They are giving us the URL where the image is located at, as we checked back in the previous video as well, when we tried downloading the image that we got from the Firebase. So the thing is that with here we cannot actually just use the image modifier and pass in the image, because that won't work out. What we can do is we can safely unwrap those images. So hero image URL, and it should be URL from string, and we can use post dot image URL here. So that way, if it exists, if it's a valid URL at post image URL, if you can see, it would actually let us use the image, and we can use async image, which is provided by Swift UI only, and we can pass it in. So we can pass it here. Now what we can do is we can open a closure here, because we need to give the image some modifiers, I would say. So for this purpose we are going to use our post view cell first page, and it obviously takes in a lot of values. So what we can do is we can press enter and keep them aligned, and now let's see what all it needs. So okay, for the image I would pass the image. For the mini caption I would pass the post dot let's just say we have best cafe caption for now. Best cafe caption. For the budget we have post dot budget. For the caption we have post dot caption, I guess. No, I mean, do we not have, okay, we have a place name, which would be the first caption actually. So yeah, this is there. Now that we added this much, it still complains that it expected type image, and it cannot convert a value of type async image face to expected type image. Okay, so what we could do is that This is weird, I would say, because like I think the image should be working here. Let me just think about it. I guess the image that we are getting back, we don't have any. Okay, we don't have any. What you can do is that we can add a placeholder here, and it would be a simple progress view basically. The progress view with a background, and the background would be color, UI color, and it should be game green. So I'm still thinking, okay, it's working now. So that was weird that it did not work, but yeah, this is there, and placeholder is completed, the async image whole if let is completed. So now what we can do is that we can use this entire block again, but this time we won't show this first page view, but instead the image would be shown like this with the caption. I was just trying to make the post view kind of unique, so that is why I designed the first page. But totally up to you if you are working inside the app and you don't feel like doing that. So image in, we can have image, and can press enter. We can remove this thing from here. Now we would just simply show resizable, and then we will show aspect ratio with a content mode fill. Then we can add some frame. The frame would have a width of like 200, and it would have a height of 200, and we can have a clip shape basically, and the clip shape would be of a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of like 10 pixels. So this is there. What we can do in the placeholder, it says content mode fill, cannot find fill in scope. Oh, okay, my bad, I had to add a dot here. We have a progress view already made, so this is there. Now what we can do is that inside the tab view we can add a vertical stack here, so we can fold these two out. So this is there, this is there. So what you are noticing is that inside the tab view, if you just add some views like view 1, then you add the view 2, so basically they all appear in a tabular manner, in the case that you can swipe and see the other ones. So this would be the first one, our custom post view first page design. Then the second one would simply be the image. Then for the third one we are using a vertical stack, and we can have, for each we can do something like, the same thing that we did inside the post first view cell, and we can repeat the text. And see, this post view design is totally up to you. You could make it simpler, you could experiment more with it, so you could get to know that what do you exactly want to do. So this is there. Then we can add the font dot custom, and custom would be fonts dot bold, and the size would be, I guess, 42 or something, or you can give it 40 as well. So foreground style would be black. Then we can have frame. How about, I was thinking that if we do foreground white, and inside the frame we have max width of infinity, and then we have the alignment leading, essentially following the same thing, but I was thinking of reversing the color code. So right now that we have done this, we can add the padding. The padding would be obviously leading, and then we can have a background, and the background would be color dot black. So let's just see how it all turns out to be. So this is there. What we can do is we can remove the for each. Yeah, we can fold the for each, and then I was thinking that we can fold the vertical stack as well, and we will give the vertical stack a frame, and the frame would be with the width 200 and the height 200. And just now I noticed that I gave each of the text actually some background, which is not what we want, so we can remove it from here, and we can add a background here instead, and the background would be black. So this is there. We can fold this vertical stack out. Now we can move forward and then we can add another vertical stack. So we are just utilizing all of the post properties. So we have a text which would say budget. So you could go crazy here and add your own sort of, text and everything. So you could make it kind of unique in its own way. So that is what I'm trying to do here as well. And we would have fonts dot bold here. Then we give it a size 12. Then we have a frame with max width, again infinity. Then alignment should be leading. This is there. We give it some padding, again 4 pixels I guess. And then we can add a spacer. And right now I'm trying to just add the different properties of the post. So if you see, we have covered these. Then we can work with budget, ratings, best cafe image. So something similar I would just keep on adding for all of them. So basically text, and then we can add uh, post dot budget value. This is there. Now what we can do is we can add some font, custom font, again fonts dot bold, and then we can have a size of like 50 I guess. Let's just see how does it turns out. Foreground style would be dot black. Then we can have some padding. The padding would be horizontal and then of 10 pixels I guess. Then we can give it some padding in general as well. So then we can have a spacer, and this is there I guess. This much is done for the budget part. Now we have to deal with the ratings and all. So we can add another vertical stack. We can add how about we just copy this thing out and see what changes do we need to make. So we have another vertical stack. This time I will call it ratings, and let's remove the t. It also has a max width of infinity and everything. That is fine. Size 12. We have some vertical stack again, because we need to actually show all the ratings which is in the form of a dictionary. So that is what we are going to do here. We have a vertical stack with an alignment of leading, and content we can enter. And now we can add text. The text would show something like nightlife, and we can give it some hashtags here. Then we can add post dot ratings, and inside of ratings we have to access that specific nightlife rating. So we will write nightlife and access the values. So okay, it's of the type optional string, so that is what I did. Again, it should have something like this. So we can copy paste this. We can remove this from here. Horizontal padding should only be 4 pixels I would say, and the size would be small because we need to add ratings for the other ones as well. So this one was for nightlife. Then we can have for safety. I could remove the capital S and we can write safety here. This is there. Now what we can do is add one for cleanliness. So cleanliness, and then we can use the same value here. This is there. Now what we can do is we can add for transport. Copy this here, paste this here. So this all seems fine to me. We can still add some sort of a spacer down here so that it pushes everything up. Okay, this is there. Now I was thinking that okay, this makes sense. Now we can add some background to this view as well. So this background would be color, UI color, and game green or something. So this is there. What we can do now is that we can fold this vertical stack up, and we might need to use something similar here for the best cafe best stay post. So that is what we are going to do here. We can use best cafe image URL and best cafe image. We're accessing that. Now we would pass in the best cafe image URL, and I think you don't need to change something here because it's the same functionality, I would say. We can give it some width of like width and height of height, which is what we defined. So I feel like this thing also needs to go here, and yeah, so this works fine. This is there. We have added best cafe. Now we can do the same for um we can do the same for the, what do you call it, stay. But then I was thinking also that instead of doing all this, I mean, obviously we'll do all this, but like inside this, instead of just the image, we can add a Z stack. We can add the Z stack. We can pass in the image. What we can do here is that on top of the image, we can show the caption that the user has provided. So that is what I'm going to do here. We can add post dot best cafe caption. This is there, obviously some custom fonts, so custom. Then we could have fonts dot bold, and then we can have size 18, so this must be there. Then we can do is that foreground color, and it should be of the white, and then we can have some padding which would be horizontal, and it would be like 10 pixels, so this is there. Now what we can do is we can just copy this whole thing out and follow something similar for our best stay caption and all. So we can use best stay caption, best stay image URL, and then we can here add best stay image. We can use this instead of this, and here we can use best stay caption. So this is there. Now what else is left? I think only one property is left, which is must carry things. So for must carry things, we can again create a vertical stack, because I think must carry things includes an array of, basically it includes multiple things like comma separated text. So for that, we can do is that we can list them all down here in a way. So that is what I'm going for here, the must property, and not 3, my bad. What we can do is we can add font custom, and then it would be fonts dot bold. Then we can add it some size, and then we can add a frame of like max width with like no, this is wrong. We can remove it from here. Max width would be infinity again. Then alignment would be leading, so this is there. Then we can add some padding to it with 4 pixels, so this is fine. Then we can have a spacer, and then there would be the text, and I don't understand that. Okay, it needs a dot here, so that is fine. We can add a text here, and for the text we would actually use post dot must carry things, and then we can just give it some font, and it would be obviously custom fonts dot bold, and the size should be around like something like 22 or something. I have tested this before with this size, so I feel like this should work out. This should be black. Then we have some padding should be horizontal. Then we can have some frame here. The frame should have a width okay, so DTH, the width should be width, and the height should be height only, I think. We have defined, or we can just leave the height be, because I don't want it to be constrained by a height, but instead what we can do is that we can add horizontal here, fixed size is horizontal, then it would have value false, and for vertical it would be true. So that it allows you to, like, uh, expand it vertically instead of horizontally. So this is there, then we can add a spacer here, and adding the spacer here, this is there, the vertical stack is completed. Now what we would do is that we would give this whole thing a background. So background color, UI color, this would be game green. Then we would go about giving it a frame, so the frame would have a width. Why is it my caps is on? So the width would be width, obviously. The height would be height, obviously. These are the values I have defined above, so that is what I'm using here. And this is there, this is there. We can fold this out. We are trying to give this vertical stack some. I don't think so we need to give the vertical stack. uh, yeah, I think for ratings and all we would need to. Now I'm thinking that we have ratings and we don't need to use these things inside of ratings, right? Because that is different. We need to pass them here. So this is there, this is there, and the vertical stack must carry things is there. What is this? Okay, this is fine. We can have some sort of a background color here, and we can have a spacer here as well. So this would make much more sense. We can do Control I to indent this perfectly. So this thing is there, if let is there. This background, I'm thinking that do we need to give it some no, I don't think so. We need to give it some values. Instead, we need to give the tab view some values. So we can paste them here. The background color should be game green and everything. The frame should be this. Then we have a clip shape of a rounded rectangle with a corner radius. So for the corner radius, not this, yeah, corner radius, the corner radius should be like 12 pixels. And then we can have a tab view style. A tab view style would be page tab view. So page tab view style, and inside of here we would have index display mode as never. So we won't show those dots at like where the user is currently at. That is some UI decision I made, so it's not completely up to you to follow that. But yeah, and obviously we'll make some UI improvements soon, but just for now we just wanted to test this thing out, so that is what I'm going to do here. Now we need to make few changes inside our I think our user profile view, where we were initially trying to show the whole thing. So basically if we go to user profile view is here. We can just fold these functions out for now, so let's do that. Or it says that, okay, it gives us one error which was obvious. It says that the sheet which we added earlier, it won't work out now because it's saying that it's selected image, it's being asked, and there's no selected image in call, which makes sense completely. So how would we work around this now? So that is what I'm thinking, that right now we don't really have a selected image or anything. So how would we go about working with that? So let me just think quickly what we can do. How about we just remove this for now? So the functionality is on pause for now because we need to figure it out, like how would we work with that value. So for now we have the curvy rectangle. We can add the navigation links, that is fine, but then we need to do one more thing, which is to add a scroll view here basically. So that is what I was thinking about. and we can just fold these things out. Curvy rectangle here, this is there, the whole thing. um, we can yeah, so this is a scroll view our, and just below our your post thing we can add a scroll view now, and this scroll view would contain a lazy v grid basically. So basically this would be a grid which would show like two posts side by side, so that is the look I'm going for. So for columns we would actually have to give it a grid item basically. So it would be a grid item. The grid item would be of the type dot flexible. So this is there, we can initialize it like this. Sorry about that. Now what we can do is that we can add another grid item, and this grid item would actually have I'm sorry about that, flexible again, and this flexible doesn't need any minimum or maximum, so we can remove this. Basically we're adding two grid items in our lazy v grid. So this is what we are going for. We can why is it having so much of why is it having so much of extra lines? Basically we need some spacing, and basically spacing would be like 10 pixels, and then we can close this out, we can open this up. So let's just see what we have done here. We have added columns. Columns includes two grid items. We can press enter here. So this is there, this is there, and now what we can do is we have spacing here, and now inside the closure we would actually use a for each loop and go over the loop of our post basically. So right now we would add the view model. View model dot post would actually be populated with the post, so that is what we are going for here. For the id we would use post id, that is simply defined. We can add a post in value here. We can add post view cell here, and the post view cell accepts a post, so that is what we are going for. And then inside the lazy v grid we can add so this is there, this is the closure, and this is the scroll view closure. So right here we can give it some padding, so that is what we are going to do here. So we have the view and the lazy v grid, and you can just paste it here like this. So this is there, and inside on appear not even fetch user data, we need to add view model dot fetch user post as well. So hopefully what would happen is that right now if you just run the app, one first thing I believe that it should not crash. The other thing I believe is that it should show the first image at top in the UI that we have made. So I just I would see to it like how does it show up to be. So that is the thing we are going for here, and let's just see how it comes out to be. It could either make or break the whole thing. I mean, okay, so this is kind of a wager because like I'm not quite sure if it would work out in the first try, but let's just see what happens. And I know the post UI was kind of very uh, hectic, so I would actually provide you with the file so that you can just okay. So this looks good to me, I would say. It's trying to load the image, then it has this, then it has the budget, then it has the ratings, then it has the it cannot load these images because they are not there. See, our must carry things are also listed down in a really good manner. So this actually came out to be really cool, I would say. It all looks really good to me. So yeah, this is there, this is our post view that we have made. What we would do now is we would actually finally jump into the create post view, and okay, the UI is also working, it shifts like that. So now we would actually work on our create post view, and then we can just function the whole so that we can add custom images. And also we have to work on the sheet because like right now Obviously, we don't need a sheet in the user profile view because we are shifting away from user profile to create post view. So that is definitely not needed. So inside the create post view, we'll handle the image picker there. So that is there. And okay, so I hope to see in the next video, we will finally jump into the create post view. And I would try to provide the file for this UI because this post view was kind of a hectic thing to follow along because I was saying a lot of things and only because I had done it earlier before, so I just knew what I was doing. But for someone to follow up with this, it was kind of hard. I can understand that fact. So okay, I will work on that. And okay, I hope to see in the next video. Again, if you have any doubts, you could just leave them in the comments. And okay, we'll continue to improve our UI and everything and work on the app. So I hope to see in the next video. Thank you.